the December 5th, Monday meeting at 7 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Here.
Mr. Hart?
Here.
Mrs. Casper?
Here.
Dr. Kennedy?
Here.
Mr. Martin?
Here.
Mr. McCray?
Here.
Mr. Negrini?
Here.
Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Mrs. Cocker?
Here.
9 present, 0 absent.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just so the public knows who haven't been at a reorg meeting, after we get through the course, public participation, we will then have a reorg meeting. There'll be a president pro temp identified, and then they will vote in a president who will then take the seat. This is a performance by the Select Choir and the Treble Choir. Do you want to introduce them?
Hi, I'm Emily Frederick, and this is a combination of the Select and Treble choirs, which are both auditioned groups here at the high school. These students are also part of the concert choir, which is our curricular course, and we will be performing 6 short Christmas carols from our caroling set this time. We traditionally, on the last day of school before break, or one of the last couple of days, we go caroling through the schools. Teachers invite us to their classrooms, and it's a really fun day for us. So we decided we would bring a little bit of that to you this evening. But if you want to hear more, we have our winter concert on Tuesday, December 20th. And Danny is in fact among them as well, at 7 o'clock. And of course, all of the music concerts here at the high school are free, so we encourage you to attend. The theme is Around the World, which will feature some holiday pieces from around the world as well as some non-holiday. So we hope you enjoy these 6 short carols. We start with Carol of the Bells.
Sweet summer bells all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old. Ding dong, dong, that is their song. We joyful ring, long caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound. Oh, hill-a-dill, tell, ring. All people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, Merry, Merry Christmas. Ding dong, Merry, Merry Christmas. On they send, on with that end. Pay joyful tone to every home. All are the bells, sweet silver bells, all seem to sing, throw cares away. Christmas is here, bringing good cheer to young and old, meek and the bold. Ding dong, dong, that is their song, with joyful ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. Oh, how they pound, raising the sound, oh, hill-a-dill, ring. All people sing songs of good cheer. Christmas is here. Ding dong, Merry, Merry Christmas. Ding dong, Merry, Merry Christmas. On they send, on without end, gay joyful tone to every home. Down on they send, on without end, gay joyful tone to every home. Ding dong, ding dong.
This is Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy from the Nutcracker.
La la
course was Silent Night, which you may not know is actually a German piece, Stille Nacht, translated into English. And in our winter concert, we are going to be adding sign language to it, so we're pretty excited about it. Our next piece is one of our caroling favorites. It's called The Sleigh, and it is a Russian carol.
Let the sleigh pull the snow with the hip-hop-hops, hip-hop, gaily singing merrily we go. All the roses blinking, twinkling, crisp and light, hip-hop, we are going onward through the night. Hey-ho, hey-ho. Let the sleigh pull the snow with the hip-hop-hops, hip-hop, gaily singing merrily we go. Ho, ho, merrily on we go. Ho, ho, merrily on we go. Hi-ya, 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 hi-ya. Let the sleigh pull the snow with hip-hop-hops, hip-hop, gaily singing merrily we go. All the world is blinking, twinkling, crisp and light, hip-hop, we are going onward through the night. Hey-ho, hey-ho. Let the sleigh pull the snow with hip-hop-hops, hip-hop, gaily singing merrily we go. Ho, merrily on we go. Ho, merrily on we go. Hi-ya, 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 hi-ya.
We leave you with two short ones, Angels We Have Heard on High, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Thank you on behalf of the music department for all the support from the school board and the administration for the music program here. We're so very lucky to have all this support, and happy holidays to everyone.
Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your kin, good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.
Thank goodness they didn't make us sing, sometimes that's, they hand out the paper.
That was beautiful.
There is no separate solicitor's announcement, but I'll read the rules of public participation because we do have one that's an agenda item. Rules of public participation for school board meetings pursuant to the Sunshine Law, Robert's Rules of Board Policy, and the following are the rules of public participation. Individuals attending the meeting are expected to conduct themselves in a responsible and respectful manner that does not disrupt the meeting. Public comment is not question and answer, but instead an opportunity to offer comments on matters that are or may come before the board. In particular, personnel or student matters may not be commented on even if the employee, parent, or student is speaking because of confidentiality law. As it relates to questions, the superintendent may assign an administrator, or may speak directly to the speaker after the meeting to attempt to answer any such questions raised by the speaker. The board respectfully requests that you direct your comments to the board as a body, as it is the entire board that will need to consider your information to reach votes in the future. Clapping, calling out, and cheering is not permitted, nor conversations in the audience. Individuals may not approach the board tables. Individuals should make their comments from the lectern. Comments are 3 minutes, and I provide the 1-minute warning. Any person making threats of violence may be removed from the meeting or cited by local police. This policy and these expectations are outlined in Board Policy 903, which is embedded in Board Doc, is on Board Docs embedded on the website. The first person is Cindy Russner. It's agenda item 5.8 and 8.1.
Okay. I just wanted to say, in response to Dr. Trickett's presentation on the profile of a Wilson graduate at the last board meeting, and in reference to the agenda item 5.8 today, I just wanted to state that I support the time and effort being put into that project to identify the ideal characteristics of a graduate. Listing these indicators, working to create methods of data collection, and developing the means to improve meeting those indicators will help this district to do right by the students served. Life readiness and career readiness are equally important to the success of all. As a person involved in the educational process, both personally for 60-plus years and professionally for 43-plus years, I can speak to the need for schools and communities to place emphasis on all the skills necessary for success in life. Everyone does not need to go to college. Everyone does need to continually take the steps to better themselves, whether that means through college, work, career, or life experience. Students need to have teachers, administrators, parents, and community members mentoring them as they work through life to become the best they can be. My sole critique at this point is that the indicator 60 minutes of play per day while in kindergarten ought to be applied in some form for some amount of time to the elementary grades above kindergarten. I know that recess is part of elementary students' day, but I feel it is important to list in writing the importance of play as a component in any child's development. From a 2018 clinical report from the American Academy of Pediatrics, play is fundamentally important for learning 21st century skills, such as problem solving, collaboration, creativity, and it requires the executive functioning skills that are critical for adult success. I also wanted to address the information listed under the agenda item number 8.1. I'm so pleased to see that there is a, group effort to discuss suicide, discuss it openly, and that it includes a listing of resources. But the Berks County resources are not up to date. Holcomb Behavioral Health Systems took over the services from Service Access Management in June, and the text to teach our students is, "Are you okay?" ? Berks. The listing of resources should probably be checked to make sure all websites,
minute.
emails, and phone numbers are up to date, particularly if these resources are going to be part of any training for staff and students. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Executive session, there was no executive sessions held between the last school board meeting and this meeting. And then I bring to the front of the table Jane Greeny, who will act as the president pro temp for the reorganization meeting.
If it's all right with everybody, I'll just stay here and conduct
You did,
that
and you
process.
did,
Yes.
you did say that. I
Yes,
apologize.
yes. So,
I was just trying to give up the seat as quickly as I could.
thanks, John. Thanks, and I will be giving that up quickly as well. My sole role in this evening's meeting is to seek nominations for board president and then conduct a vote on that particular item on the agenda. So at this point, I'm seeking a nomination from the floor for board president of the following school year. Any nominations? Dr. Kennedy.
I would like to nominate Steph Cocker again. I think she did an amazing job with grace and thoughtfulness in a very difficult past year. I'm proud to serve on the board with her. I'm proud to have her as a friend, and I'd be thrilled if she would take the job again.
So we have a first for Mrs. Cocker. Is there a second to that?
Second, Casper.
All right. Are there any other nominations for board president this year? Hearing none, since there is only one nomination for board president, this will be a voice vote. So all in favor of Mrs. Cucker for board president, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Congratulations, Mrs. Cucker.
Thank you, Mr. Greenie. Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. I appreciate the support from my fellow board members, and I hope to serve responsibly and in a calm manner as I tried to last year. So, thank you.
I didn't leave that short-lived power go to my head, so.
It's good. Okay, for 2.3, we're looking for a nomination and election of vice president. So looking for a nomination for our vice president for the upcoming year. Dr. Kennedy?
I would like to nominate Mr. Bob Schneider for vice president again. He's a great sounding board for President Cocker, and I think he's served his role very responsibly over the past year.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Do we have a second? Mr. Hart? Thank you. Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay, hearing none, it is also a voice vote. All in favor of Mr. Schneider being the vice president for the board, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, congratulations, Mr. Schneider. I look forward to serving with you again for the remainder of this next school year.
Thank you.
Next calendar year. Thank you. 2.4, motion to nominate and elect the board secretary, administrative assistant to the superintendent, and substitute board secretaries, administrative assistants to the assistant superintendents, and the director of public relations, just in case the other two are not here. Do we need to do that? Looking for a motion for 2.4.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Do we have a second?
Martin.
Mr. Martin, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, voice vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, congratulations to our board secretaries and, just in case, Director of Public Relations. 2.5, motion to approve that the board secretary's salary be set to $0. Looking for a motion for 2.5.
So moved.
Mr. Martin, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Okay, that's fine. Roll call, please. On 2.5, just Mr. Maravich says it technically involves money, even though that money is zero.
My apologies.
No problem.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
2.6, looking for a motion for the continuation in force of all present Wilson School District policies. Mr. Hart, thank you. Do we have a second?
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please, on 2.6.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
2.7, motion to appoint all non-officers of the school board to assistant secretaries for the Wilson School Board of School Directors. Looking for a motion for 2.7.
So moved.
Mr. Martin, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second. Case.
Mr. Case, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 2.7 carries. 2.8, request approval of the retention of John Maravich Esquire and Fox Rothschild LLP as solicitor for 2023. Looking for a motion for 2.8.
So moved, Negrini.
Mr. Negrini, thank you. Mr. Hart is a second, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
2.9, looking for a motion to approve setting the solicitor's retainer fee for 2023 at $12,000 with hourly rates of $210 per hour for attorney time and between $225 and $250 per hour for special services. This represents the first increase in fees and rates in 10 years. Looking for a motion for 2.9.
So move, Negrini.
Mr. Negrini, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Under approval of minutes, 3.1, request to approve the minutes of the school board meeting held on November 21st, 2022.
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, thank you.
Schneider.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Payment of bills, Mr. Negrini.
Request to approve the payment of bills from the general fund in the amount of $1,527,343.63 as attached.
Thank you, Mr. Negrini. We have a motion for 4.1. Do we have a second?
McCray.
Mr. McCray, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
Superintendent's report, Dr. Trickett.
Thank you, President Cocker. I present tonight the personnel program recommendations included in Section 5. I'd like to pay special attention to 5.1. Mr. Brad Hahn, our Director of Human Resources, will be moving on to a new role in February. Just want to thank him, Brad, for all that you've done for our school district since arriving and helping lead us through some difficult times from a staffing perspective. I think all of our team, inclusive of the board, our administrative team, our teachers, our different employee groups, believe that you've helped create a better system here, a better culture, and a better environment for our employees. So I know we'll keep in touch as you're not going super far, but I just want to publicly thank you and continue to thank you for all the work that you're doing here until your departure date, Brad. And then also under 5.8, approval of the profile of the graduate and the attributes and indicators as presented. Appreciate the public comments today, and just want to remind everyone that the work within this link, the indicators provided, will really help us goal set and plan as we strive to help our kiddos and all of your children become more life, career, and college ready. So more information to come. This is our first step. There will be a communication going out to our community and our staff in the coming week, and then more being released in the new year. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Trickett. Looking for a motion to approve superintendent items 5.1 through 5.8 as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Martin, thank you. Do we have a second?
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Mr. Negrini?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Mr. Case?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Mrs. Casper?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker?
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
6.1, request permission to approve a trip to St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica for 19 high school AP Environmental, AP Bio students from January 10th to January 18th, 2023, and 16 high school AP Environmental, AP Bio students from January 29th to February 7th, 2023. Looking for a motion for 6.1.
So moved. Case.
Mr. Case, thank you. Do we have a second?
Schneider, second.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
I think it's a voice vote for field trips.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I just wanted to double check
Nope.
If it didn't include substitutes? Okay.
No problem.
Thank you, Mrs. Burkholder. Okay, all in favor for 6.1?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Under 7.1, request to accept from Lancaster Lebanon IU a stipend check for $600 issued through the PA Department of Education to be reserved and released to the school advisor facility for design costs associated with development of the school-based project for state competition. This is a STEM competition. Looking for a motion for 7.1?
McCray.
Mr. McCray, thank you. Do we have a second? Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Under policies, we have 4 policies that are in their final reading and adoption stage. They are 612, purchases not budgeted, 613, cooperative purchasing, 614, payroll authorization, 819, suicide awareness, prevention, and response. Looking for a motion to approve 8.1.
Casper?
Mrs. Casper, thank you. Do we have a second? Dr. Kennedy, thank you. Any discussion on the final reading of the 4 policies? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mr. Case,
Yes.
Mr. Hart,
Yes.
Mrs. Casper,
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McCray,
Yes.
Mr. Negrini,
Yes.
Mrs. Cocker.
Yes.
9 yes, 0 no.
On 8.2 is second reading of policy 615, payroll deductions, and 8.3 is first reading of policy 611, purchases budgeted, which takes us then to committee reports. Mrs. Casper, BCTC.
I do not have a report. Our next meeting is December 15th. It's a Thursday this time.
Okay, thank you. And how about student services?
And I do not have a report either for student services. Our next meeting is this Wednesday.
Okay, thank you. BCIU and curriculum committees, Dr. Kennedy?
I have no report for the BCIU or the curriculum committee. The curriculum committee meeting was moved until December 14th in this room, 4 o'clock.
Okay, thank you. Berks EIT, Mrs. Schlossman? Extracurricular committee doesn't have a report either, but our next meeting is next Monday at noon upstairs in the admin building. Facilities committee, Mr. Case?
Thank you. I don't have much of a report other than if anyone's been going to the holiday concerts, you'll start seeing some lines while you're walking into the current auditorium. It's pretty exciting. So there's a bunch of geotech boring that's being scheduled, and also some local preliminary township and zoning meetings are starting to take place or will be scheduled soon. And also ground penetrating radar analysis is going on. So hence all the lines. So it's kind of exciting that some things are starting to make a little bit of progress. Some new exterior lightings starting today at Whitfield. Other than that, we have a meeting next Monday, December 12th at 4:30, and I believe that's in the operations building, correct? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Case. Finance committee, Mr. Negrini?
The Finance Committee will be meeting with Herbine and Company on December 14th, I believe at 5:30, to review the 21-22 final audit that is expected to be part of the next board meeting's agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Negrini. Human Resources, Mr. Hart?
I have no report.
Thank you. Public Relations, Mrs. Troutman?
Good evening. I just have 2 quick items. First, I wanted to let everybody know that we are excited to announce that we are once again offering our popular Building Bulldogs program for families in our school community. This program is designed to build skills for kindergarten success, build relationships with families, and build confidence for students transitioning into kindergarten. Building Bulldogs is available for residents of the Wilson School District with children who are aged 4 to 5 years old before September 1st, 2022, and their parents. So there will be an informational night for parents and guardians right here in this room on January 12th, and there will be 2 sessions offered, one from 6 to 6:30 and one from 6:45 to 7:15, and we will continue to promote that over the next few weeks for our families in our community. And then also, we wanted to publicly thank Redner's Markets for their willingness to partner with the Wilson School District for a new initiative. This school year, our family and consumer science educators have partnered with Redner's Ready, which is their online order and pickup service, to allow our FCS teachers to submit the items they need for their classrooms directly through the Redner's Ready website. Our courier then picks up the items from Redner's and delivers them to each of our schools. As a longstanding Wilson community partner, Redner's was excited and accommodating to develop this new venture with our school district, and they have waived all of the fees associated with the service for us. So this is truly a community and school collaboration at its finest, and we just want to thank Redner's again for their support of our district. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Mrs. Troutman. Education Foundation, Mr. Case.
No report.
Technology Committee, Mr. McCray.
No report. Our next meeting is December 19th.
Student Outreach, Ms. Radash.
Good evening. Congratulations to the boys swim coach Roy Snyder on his 600th career win. Congrats to the boys basketball team for their win against Pottsville this weekend at their first game of the season on Friday. And before Thanksgiving break, the autistic support class celebrated Friendsgiving by having a feast with their peer buddies. And this weekend, the Wilson Theater Company attended the PA Thespian Conference at North Penn High School. They performed their one-act Our Wonderland, participated in workshops, and met other theater students from various schools in the state. It was a really cool and fun experience. On Tuesday morning, so tomorrow morning, there will be the final collection for Stocking for Soldiers. So please consider donating an item such as individual snacks, deodorant, socks, or anything of that nature for our troops abroad. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moravich, we have some community participation on non-agenda items.
Rules of public participation, I'll try to truncate a little bit. Individuals attending are expected to conduct themselves in a responsible, respectful manner that does not disrupt the meeting. Public comments is not question and answer, but instead is an opportunity to offer comments on matters that or may come before the board. In particular, personnel and student matters may not be commented on. As it relates to questions, superintendent may assign an administrator or may speak directly to the speaker after the meeting to attempt to answer those questions. The board respectfully requests that you direct your comments to the board, as it is the entire board that will need to vote on future matters. Clapping, calling out, and cheering or conversations in the audience are not permitted. Individuals should not approach the tables. Individuals should make their comments from the speaker's podium. It's 3 minutes, and I provide the 1-minute warning. Any persons making threats of violence may be removed or may be cited by local police.
Thank you, Mr. Moravich. First, we have Megan Crick, LGBTQ youth, and board member comments.
Thank you for having me up here. I wanted to speak these words 2 weeks ago. I had this written and I couldn't quite get up here. The emotions were a little raw for me at the time. We'll see how it goes tonight. On November 19th, 2022, 5 people were gunned down and countless injured at a shooting at a gay nightclub. It happened on Transgender Day of Remembrance by a person who wanted nothing more than to hurt people just for who they are. Mr. Martin, I am begging you to look at the possible consequences of your words and educate yourself on the violence that that transgender people face. The harmful words you have spoken here contribute to that violence. According to the Human Rights Campaign, 2021 was the deadliest year for transgender people, with a record 50 deaths from violence. A majority of those deaths are Black and Latinx transgender women, and that's just violence. That doesn't include the many, many others who take their own life because they live in a world that doesn't accept them. To say that parents are choosing this for their children because they want the opposite gender, as you said, conveys a shocking lack of understanding and bias on your part. Make no mistake, no parent is going to choose a life for their child that puts them in that kind of danger. None. I have a child who is part of the LGBTQ community. I've spoken about him up here before. While he is not transgender, I watch him go out into a world every day where there are people who want to hurt him just because of who he loves. I live with that fear every day. He lives with that fear every day. Week after week, I listen to the hurtful words spoken here. I listen to threats like yours. I listen to Bible verses. I listen to loving parents called child abusers. I listen to teachers and educators and administrators who choose love and acceptance called indoctrinators. And those words matter. Those words have huge consequences. Those words contribute to the fear my family lives with every day. Mr. Martin, you've done harm you won't take accountability for, harm you won't try to correct
minute.
by listening to the people in the LGBTQ community or their families. I don't think I'm going to change your mind. I think you've made that pretty clear. Since you won't do the right thing by stepping down, I'm asking you to choose your words more carefully. You might not change your mind. I get that. But you sure can stop contributing to the violence this community faces. And I doubt you'll take me up on this, but if you ever want to have a conversation outside of this room, at any time about any of this, my door is open. My only goal in all of this is to make the world a safer place for my kid and his community.
Thank you for your comments. Brian Chavinsky, non-agenda.
I'm here tonight to talk about the dangerous trend of normalizing anti-LGBTQ and racism in our community. Just last month, we had a board member make a harmful comments, multiple, towards the LGBTQ community and people of color. And this cannot become acceptable. This cannot become normalized. This needs to stop. Anti-LGBTQ and racism have no place in this community. They are destructive. And when we allow them to become normalized, we are giving them power. We are saying it's okay to hurt and discriminate against others because of what they wear, who they love, gender identity, or color of their skin. We need to take action, to stand up and speak out against anti-LGBTQ and racism. We need to reject them whenever and wherever we see them. We need to show others that anti-LGBTQ and racism are not acceptable, and we need to make it clear that they will not be tolerated, especially here. We can take action. We can take action by supporting and standing with those who are targeted and marginalized. We can take action by educating ourselves and others about the harm that anti-LGBTQ and racism cause. We can take action by showing love and compassion to those around us, regardless of what they wear, who they love, gender identity, or the color of their skin. I believe our community deserves a school board that illustrates these actions. To the recently censured school board member, the board has reorganized. You can take action to help this community. Reorganize a little bit more and resign now. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Tammy Keener, Mr. Martin. Mr. Martin, that's just the topic that's written down. Yeah, you're not, sorry.
Good evening. This school board has decided to teach critical race theory, or otherwise known as equity, in our school. The progressives love to promote their agenda on our children. It seems that we have removed biology and replaced it with gender identity, removed algebra and replaced it with Common Core, and now we're pushing racism, which pits our children against each other by the color of their skin. Politics and racism do not belong in our school. Schools should be a place where students are free to express their opinions on any subject without being afraid of being bullied from other students or teachers. Teachers have no business passing around a petition asking for signatures when the student refuses to sign, feel like the teacher may respond negatively. By doing this, teachers have clearly shown that where they stand politically. Again, politics does not belong in our schools. The subject can be taught, but then we're asking for it to be taught, both sides fairly represented. Mr. Martin has been on this board for so many years. You all know, as well as I do, that he is not racist. He read an article that had racist connotations in it. Unfortunately, he was not aware of how hurtful this article was to students and parents. He realizes now that bringing up the subject hurt many people. He has repeatedly apologized. He is not racist. There are always two sides to a story. Your actions have further inflamed the situation and instead of understanding it. I am ashamed of how this board, this school district, and this administration has handled this situation. You have no right to harass this man.
1 minute.
Even though you may not agree, you should accept his apology and try to get the students and parents to accept his apology and go back to learning, which is what school is supposed to be all about. I just want to make one correction to her. The gunman in Colorado was your own community. He was a non-binary, transgender, LGBTQ. He shot his own people. So don't say that it was us.
Your remarks should be to the board. That's completely unnecessary. And if you're going to continue to make comments in your seat, you may also go. Thank you. Chastity Santiago, Community and Board Relations.
All right, here we go. Imagine if we could encourage an entire generation of youth to look at every issue from a holistic perspective and taking the needs of others and the well-being of others into consideration. This can't be achieved with three would-be saviors disguised as board members playing a game that promotes discrimination, disguised as equity, disregarding facts, twisting narratives, and triggering pain. So now it's my turn to play a game of chess to your checkers and read an article that the three of you wrote on a site called activist.com in December 2021. Here's some of what they had to say. Critical race theory. They admit, although we understand that developmentally this legal theory may not be appropriate for the K through 12 curriculum, we feel it's important to promote. I'm angry, and everybody else should be, that they prioritize their feelings above our kids. Waiting for policy revisions, this is one of my favorites. The time period to wait felt reminiscent of the civil rights era when blacks were told they had to wait. I'm pretty sure none of you ladies were imprisoned, beaten, forced to work in chain gangs, or attacked by dogs during those 5 months. And you should be ashamed of making such a privileged, elitist, and disrespectful comparison to a painful chapter of our history. White residents. It's ironic how many of you who came to speak in opposition of equity referenced the same era of civil rights to speak of entitlement for people of color. Funny, I see the irony in that statement since none of you are Black Americans. You know, 2 of our fellow board members have been publicly opposed to the equity policy, and they proposed a template of anti-CRT. Yikes. Luckily, our board leadership found a recent stipulation, and so the resolution never made it to the public agenda. Anyone else angry that only specific residents in this district are entitled to representation? I didn't vote for any of you, and you silenced a voice. And then to the meetings, portraying such a negative portrayal of our community by publicizing that you needed police escorts out of these meetings. What are we, thugs? This is what they think about us. This is their words. This is what they wrote. All forms of racism are discrimination and they're abhorrent, but they chose to engage in the savior form, which is extremely sinister, self-serving, and destructive because it's designed as compassion. As for the 3 members of this board, your words and actions are both shameful and despicable, which is why I am demanding the resignation of Guadalupe Casper, Amy Kennedy, and Steph Coker from the Wilson School Board District today. And if resignation does not occur, there are many other policy and ethical violations and avenues I can take to remove you.
Thank you for your comments. Ms. Cocker. That is the end of the public participation period. Is there any other business from the board? Mr. Schneider, thank you.
Excuse me. Yeah, I'd just like to double down on a congratulations to Coach Roy Snyder on his milestone victory. He's been doing this a long time. He coached me. He mentored me. He helped, I think, to help shape me into what I like to think of as the man that I am today. He's a fantastic asset to this community. And so I'd just like to congratulate him again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schneider. I believe within the Grandview Gallery, I don't know if it's still on the hallway, but there was a piece in the hallway by Mr. Schneider, or Mr. Roy Snyder.
He and I have gone back and forth with that many times.
I'm sure. By Roy Snyder, that was beautiful, and it was a person diving. It was it was gorgeous. So he's multi-talented in many different aspects, and I just thought that was a nice piece. Hopefully, if it's not out there, I hope we can see it again. Yeah, cycled through. Any other comments from the board? Dr. Kennedy?
I'd like to take the time to thank the teachers and the administration for parent-teacher conferences. I know that's kind of a pain to do. I have a parent-teacher conference at all levels. I have elementary, middle, and high school, and the participation is very different in all three of them. I know the middle school people aren't going to like this, but I really liked the middle school conferences without the student-led conferences and having all the teachers there to be able to talk about my child all at once. It was really tricky to try and schedule for children's conferences. This district is made for parents of 2, maybe parents of 3. It's definitely not made for parents of 4 or more. I would have liked to have been able to go to more high school conferences, but with only one night of conferences, it's hard when you're a working parent. I appreciate that teachers do spend that one night here at school, and I know what they give up to do that. I wonder what other creative things we could do to schedule additional night times, especially because I was thinking about how our teachers have to go to teacher conferences, and if there's only one night, it's kind of hard to do, especially if they're in another district, because we, all of Berks County does their conferences on the same 2 days. So I think, I'm so thrilled. Dr. Stout worked so hard for many, many years to try and get 2 sets of conferences, so I'm glad that we've gone to 2 conferences, because I do think for a lot of kids that's super helpful. And I look forward to more ways that we can involve parents to get into their classroom, kids' classroom as much as possible. So thank you to the teachers and to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Kennedy. Any other business from the board? Okay, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Schneider, so moved.
Mr. Schneider, thank you. Meeting adjourned.